He's not
Joey
Troy Aikman.
is on the line on Zoom. Joe,
And he cut you off so
yeah,
nice.
hey, we're going to revisit
He
this.
just cut
Joey,
you off.
how's it going, buddy? Have you been listening on the conversation?
Trent Dilfer won a Super
Hey,
Bowl.
Joey, you need to pause.
Brad Johnson won a Super Bowl.
Because we need to finish this debate.
Boxing gloves off.
Can you turn Joey up a little bit? We can't hardly hear him.
Brad Johnson won a Super Bowl. Mark Rippon won a Super Bowl.
Yeah, horrible guy. Basic guys. Basic
Trent
quarterbacks.
Dilfer won a Super Bowl.
Listen,
Yeah, I said that. But
you did say something last week about average quarterbacks.
Yes.
But when Rippon did win the Super Bowl in '91, he did have Joe Gibbs as a coach. He was the Super Bowl MVP, and he was a Pro Bowl quarterback that year.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying as a career he was a Hall of Famer. I'm just saying that year he did what he had to do, and he won. Hostetler was a backup in '90.
Right.
Parcells was his coach. Brad Johnson was a Pro Bowl quarterback that year. He won with John Gruden. Doug Williams was a backup, but he was a Super Bowl MVP with Joe Gibbs.
Can I tell you what they all have in common?
What's that?
They all had great
defenses. They all had great
All
defenses.
right, not 18th
But it's a
ranked.
team sport.
No, I don't care about team sport. I'm telling you what has happened with every team you just named.
Right.
They
It was
all
7 of
had
them.
elite defenses.
They had
Not
elite.
good. They were the
Elite.
best defenses in the league that year.
That's all I'm saying.
Every team that you just named had the
elite
best defenses
defenses.
in the league
Yes.
that year.
Yes.
Even when Tom Brady went to 10
Yeah.
Super Bowls,
Yeah.
every year he won, they were top 5.
Yes.
Every year Tom Brady won a Super Bowl, the defense was top 5.
Yeah. And
But that's what. But
Overall-
Well, if the Lions
Well,
going to be that, if the Lions going to be that,
team
then
sport.
if-
Right?
Well,
if the-
yes.
but
we established that
well, yes.
in the beginning of this conversation.
And I had always said overall, great quarterback, great coach. I say you don't have that. Those out of the years, those 7 we just mentioned weren't. Everybody else had a great quarterback and a great coach. That's it.
and a great defense.
And a great
we're
defense.
also we're not talking about
Not Hostetler,
history, a career of a quarterback. We're talking about what they did that year.
The data still has to be able to prove what it is your argument is trying to create.
Right.
So
That's
what is the data
That's
saying?
what you're.
The data is we're talking about what he was talking about Super Bowl wins.
Right.
Yeah.
Rippon did what he had to do. He was a Pro Bowler that year.
Okay, great defense.
Okay,
And I was
But it's a
making-
team
Great head
sport,
coach.
correct?
Right.
Listen, we
You
all
still
football,
have to go. You
Football
still have to
is
play,
a team sport.
but
we
you
already
still
know
have
that.
to play who was in front of
We
you.
all
right?
know
They
that.
did that.
But
But if you don't have these basic things to happen for you
Right.
as a team, you're not going to win a Super Bowl,
Right.
guys.
Right.
Listen, the Detroit Lions are phenomenal right now. Their defense has to step up to be elite if they're going to win a Super Bowl. I'm telling you that. That's it. Period.
Joey, what do you think? He's been waiting patiently.
What do you mean? What I think about what?
This
About
argument
this
we've
debate?
had.
I would call it-
what,
I'd just call it
what do you
debate.
think, Joe?
Dude, I think you need some drinks in front of you, man, because that's getting heavy and deep and heated. I think you need some drinks, because I'm going to have a drink after I get off of this thing, because I need one after that discussion.
Well, listen. How do you think? Do you think I'm correct in saying the Lions are in that trajectory path of getting to a Super Bowl and possibly winning? In just how the Dallas Cowboys were in '95 and the Steelers were in
Why did you
08
pull up the
stat-wise?
Patriots anymore? I don't-
I absolutely think they're on that trajectory, you know. And you have you've done some homework and brought some stats out about those years that they won, the last years that they won Super Bowls. You know, Corey's got a point. His only point is that, hey, Goff hasn't won a Super Bowl yet, but there's the big word is yet. And he doesn't seem to be a believer, so I guess we'll stuff it in his face if he gets to the promised land this year. You know, until that happens, though, we won't be able to stuff it in his face. Right. Corey? I mean, bottom
I
line,
agree.
you know?
Yeah, I agree. So the trajectory, the Vikings are on the same. You win games. Win the regular season. That's fine. All I said, this stemmed from, I said, out of the million years of Super Bowls, there's always been great quarterbacks and great coaches to win them. It's been
Absolutely.
7 that haven't. And I named them last week. That's all I'm saying. And I don't think Goff and Kemp, nobody's going to just deter me from that. I don't think they're great. I just don't. That's just about it. Lions are doing what they're doing. They're taking care of business. They're beating bad teams.
And
Good for them.
to you, the only way, to you, Corey, the only way they're going to be great then is if they win a bunch of Super Bowls, I guess. You know, I mean, that's your criteria, you know, in the end. That's all you're saying.
Because, like I said, I'm not debating the history of Pittsburgh Steelers and what they've accomplished, or the Dallas Cowboys in that aspect. I'm just saying, season-wise, the reason I went back to 95 and 08, because those were the last two Super Bowls that those two teams have won, the Lions' trajectory is trending in that direction. Now, like you said, we got to revisit this. We'll revisit this at the end of the year. Whether they win the Super Bowl or not. I was just trying to debate what Corey was saying when he was rattling off last week about average this, average that. All I was saying is you still got to play who's in front of you, and it's a team sport, which all of us agree it is.
Yep. Yeah, well, I think I disagree that to call Goff just an average quarterback and Campbell just an average coach. I think their record over the last 3 years shows something quite different. They're above average in every aspect of the game that each of them plays. Goff is a player, Campbell is a coach. Campbell has surrounded himself with winning coaches that have brought about a change in the atmosphere and the type of play that Detroit and the type of program Detroit has become year in, year out. So, you can't just do that just because you're a name. You can't just snap your fingers and make that happen. That happens because you put a bunch of work in, you get the right people surrounding you, and you have you have good players doing what they need to do on the field. And I've always said, right from the beginning, none of this matters. We can talk about this debate, who's best, who's better, who's average, who's not average. We could debate that all year long. But it really isn't going to matter until you get to the end of the season and see who's on the field. Because those players who are on the field at the end of the season will be the guys that determine whether or not you're going to be a playoff contender or a Super Bowl winner. If we can get our best players on the field all at the same time at the end of the season, I think we got a great shot. I mean, better than 50% shot to win a Super Bowl with Goff and with every other player, with our coach Dan Campbell. I think we can win the Super Bowl because when we have our best players on the field, we beat everybody's butt.
Okay,
hands down.
Well, you had a chance last year, so that didn't pan out for you. So we'll see. Like you said, we'll have to see. I was just making a history stat statement, and those are just facts.
Well,
those are just the facts.
I wasn't debating. I wasn't saying, and I'll repeat it again. I wasn't saying that the Dallas Cowboys have a horrible franchise in history. We were just talking about, I was making a comparison season-wise of what they did. Now, we talked about you were right. You talked about the other quarterbacks that you named here. Joe Namath.
Terrible.
That year he was a Pro Bowler. Mm-hmm. He was a Super Bowl MVP. Mm-hmm. They did what they had to do as a team to win the Super Bowl. You said Jim Plunkett. Terrible. Yeah, but he won 2 Super Bowls, and the year that he won it, he was a Super Bowl MVP in one of those. So it's a team sport. We said that.
Hall of Fame coaches.
Hall of Fame coaches. Defenses.
That's all I was trying to say.
So you just named 2 different organizations, the Raiders and the Redskins, and they had Hall of Fame coaches and elite defenses. So now if Dan Campbell's a Hall of Fame guy, he will show us. Yeah. If that defense is big time, they'll show us.
Yeah. I don't think any of us in this room or at this panel was saying he was a great coach at his first interview. Were we saying that? The first year? The second year? What makes him a great coach now? Because he won 12 games last year?
I think he's improved every year he's been here.
I said great. We were saying great. Barry Switz is a great coach. Super Bowl in college. Super Bowl national championship, several. Super Bowl in pros. Is Campbell a great coach? I guess.
Well, I think when you talk about coaches, though, and maybe you could.
And you said he was handed the keys.
Well, he was.
Okay, that's fine. But you still play.
Switzer had the keys to the kingdom from Jimmy Johnson.
Scott, it doesn't matter. You still have to play.
Exactly.
So did Dungy. So it doesn't. Switzer was a great coach before that. He was a great coach before that.
In college.
So you get to pick. You don't get to pick your players.
Exactly.
He's a coach. So he
did
coached
what
them.
I agree with you.
So that kind of is.
But Campbell's trending in that direction. What do you think, Joe?
Trending in what direction? What direction?
Campbell's a very good coach. I mean, hands down.
Why?
I would call him a great coach because he's created a different type of atmosphere and a different type of a level of play that we haven't seen in Detroit in my lifetime. Honestly.
We have a Hall of Fame coach here.
Well,
So
listen,
it's the difference between leader and coaching. But go ahead, Mike.
what makes you great is consistency. That's what makes you great. If you're saying that he's a great coach, he has to continue to do this.
Not for 1 year.
Not for 2 years. So he has to continue this even when the roster doesn't look like this. That's what makes you a great coach. When you can still continue to create a winning culture when you ain't got the greatest players. Those are great coaches. That's the difference between great and being good and being elite. And everybody can do it when they got the players.
Dan Campbell's an elite coach.
No way. He just said he's a great coach. He just said he's a great coach.
Well, I mean, what he's done over the past couple of years,
2 years.
Listen, and Mike Tomlin won it in 2 years.
That's like when I was when I was coaching high school and I went to the city championship back-to-back years. All of a sudden, I'm a great coach. No, it takes time. You really have to continue.
So how many years does it take you to be a great coach? 20, 40, 60?
No.
Tomlin's never had a losing season.
But at least it takes more than 2 years. I'm not saying Campbell is not going to be great. I'm saying you can't call him great today. You cannot call a guy a great coach yet.
Do you call him average?
You call him? No, I'm not saying he's average either. I'm saying he's a solid, good football coach.
That's just my opinion.
That's what I'm saying. That's Corey. Corey is saying he's average. Right now, that's all he can go off of because the first couple of years he got in the league, that's what he showed us. Now he's on the up end of it where he's rising. He's doing some really special things for the Lions. I'm saying we got to be careful when we start throwing out that great word. Right. Be careful we start throwing out that elite word because when people are doing that kind of thing, that's because they've been doing it for a long time.
Right. Yeah. Well, I think I said elite.
And the mess that Tomlin has this year, that's great. He's never missed a playoff. He never had a losing record.
And he still gets questioned because he has not won a Super Bowl since 08. 08. So, and we still know he's a great coach.
Yep. Joey, listen, before we let you go, because I know you've been sitting here patiently, this is something I know you couldn't have looked up that easily. The Roar trivia question this week. What team does the Lions hold the most comeback wins of 10 points or higher? Is it A, Chicago Bears, B, Green Bay Packers, C, Minnesota Vikings, D, Cleveland Browns, or E, Dallas Cowboys? What's your pick, Joe?
I'm going to have to go with the Bears.
Okay. The Bears it is.
You were on that one.
Well, Joe, listen, we'll be breaking bread here in about a week. And,
yes, sir.
So I'm looking forward to seeing you out there in East Val, California. And but thanks for coming on, and we'll get together real soon.
Well, we're looking forward to having you guys come on out and visit. Corey, you can come anytime you want to. We always got a place.
Do you have another Lions chain for them?
Absolutely, I do. It's a little different color, but I got
Send
one
it back.
Thanks, Joe.
All right, guys. Take care.